Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time!
3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win!
Tyree talking to the roller, wearing diamond ring, wearing gift stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine right, jet flying, son of a gun.
Taylor's gone. Jonathan Taylor. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy.
I'm never taking a back seat to anybody and don't plan on starting now.
Woo! IU America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
There's no doubt about it, yeah, you mean Gene Okerlund. You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios, here's Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here on this Tuesday. Glad to have you along. Looking forward to it. Appreciate you as always. Mike DeCourcy will join us, as well as Chronic Hoosier. Later, we'll hear from Byron Baldwin in the second hour. Hope you guys are having a good start to your week. The weather has been pretty nice. Yesterday evening, nice evening up into the 60s. I'm like, holy cow. It was pretty good. Watched a little Monday Night Football, the Manning cast. I can't go back to watching regular now, it seems like. That's just my one of my things that I'd much rather listen to those guys clown, but they also talk about the game in such a different way. It's just a lot more fun for me. I know not everyone gets into that, but hope everybody's doing well and got a good start to the week going. We're going to hear from Kurt Cignetti later, as we met with him yesterday. And Byron Baldwin, Indiana's 4th highest ranked recruit ever in football, when he recommitted back to the Hoosiers. But there's more to come there. Pretty certain on that. But that will all be told as there's I think the signing deals in a couple of weeks, the early signing period in the December. So December brings a lot of stuff. Most importantly, big time games in the world of football. But of course, basketball will be rolling by then as well. And not that it's already started, but it will be rolling by then with a lot of tournaments coming up. Indiana, of course, playing down in the Bahamas, the battle for Atlantis. They leave that trip, I think, on Monday or Tuesday. So they'll be down there, and they have a tough road to hoe as they'll open up with Louisville, the long-shooting Cardinals. And if they're managed to get through that, then they get to take on Gonzaga, which Gonzaga is no joke. I watched them just beat the snot out of Baylor a while back, and Baylor was like the 8th-ranked team in the country. So, yeah, it's going to be something without question. And got to see Don last night, Don Fisher again. Of course, last night they had Inside Indiana Basketball. Brian Walsh was there. Coach Woodson was on a recruiting visit, apparently. And so it was good to hear him, and here's his thoughts into the upcoming season and got to hear his story. Did you know him? He and Mike Shanahan, Indiana's offensive coordinator, went to high school together. How crazy is that? That is pretty ironic. Yeah, kind of crazy that one of Indiana's top football assistants and one of the basketball assistants went to high school together and not in Indiana. So that's kind of wild. Let's see if we can pull up a clip from Kurt Cignetti and get a little his thoughts from yesterday. Got plenty of them, I'll tell you that. He's become a quote machine. But one of the things he was asked was about how a team takes on the coach's personality.
I think we have a confident team that believes and takes care of business. They prep well. They're detailed. They play fairly consistently to a standard, not circumstances of the game. And that's what we preach. And, I've heard that comment that they have, and I guess that's a good thing.
So he's paying attention to what's going on. He knows what's happening. But let's see. I'm trying to think. Did he come up with anything funny yesterday? Oh yeah, it wasn't that it's funny. It's this is going to be his new. This has to be the new quick Cignetti quote. I want to make sure I get the right one here because it's the nope, that's not it. It's this one right here. Just a quick, I sent out a tweet the other day that Kurt Cignetti he's become the most quoted guy in America. And it's because of things like this. Without question, he's able to come up with these things. It's like someone's writing.
Look, we got a group of guys and coaches that have won 24 out of their last 25 games. So we don't have a confidence problem.
They don't have a confidence problem, baby. Which he doesn't, I mean, he's bold. But he's talking about the group of guys that came with him from JMU, the coaches, and talking about going to Ohio State, which would be a daunting experience for some. But that's the one thing about Indiana is they're not going there feeling like that. They're going there feeling completely confident in what they're doing and that they can win that game. I believe that they can as well. There you go, Brian, pointing out 96% winning percentage. Not too bad. 24 or 25, it's not too shabby either. There you go. Got it, wrote it out there for you, Pecan. But appreciate everybody joining us no matter where and how on one of our great affiliates like 97.7 ESPN, The Ref, always the right call down in Evansville. Our friends on the river in the southwest part of the state. Up in the region, 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, WJOB. And, of course, Fort Wayne's only sports station, 1380 The Fan. Keep it tuned right here and locked in to these stations, so you get continued great quality content throughout your day when you're in your car, in your office, wherever you are. And if you can't follow us, and if you're not fortunate enough to be in one of those places where we're on radio, you can always follow us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button and notifications toggle so you never lose us. Great stuff that is coming up, like this Saturday's post-game football show. Man, that's either going to be one hell of a party or just a disappointing, somewhat disappointing day. But if Indiana wins, I'm afraid we won't be able to get off that show, man. That thing may last all night. They'll turn the lights out at the Ohio State Stadium. It's been a while since Indiana turned the lights out at Ohio State Stadium. Darkest day at Ohio State history. Earl Bruce. Oh, I wish I had that clip. That would have been a good one to pull up. I'll have to do that this week. That's some of the great quotes, man. It's just funny how someone says, and he did not, I guarantee Earl Bruce did not mean for that to go down as one of the all-time quotes in regards to Ohio State, but Earl Bruce this is the darkest day in Ohio State history. That's when Indiana beat them. That was just the first of back-to-back wins, I believe, wasn't it? He beat them in Columbus, and they beat them in Bloomington the following year. Even beat them even worse the second time. People are jacked up for the games. The worst that IU could be is 10-2 and a New Year's, dude. No, that's not true. The worst they can be is 11-1. If you can even consider this Indiana team possibly ever even losing to the Purdue team right now, you need brain surgery. I don't know who's worse, the Cowboys or Purdue. And the Cowboys are professional. Did they end up winning last night? I'm sure they didn't, but I fell asleep watching that game. They just couldn't get out of their own way, but you never know, man. Professional games, they come back. Yeah, but they're going to, the worst they could truly go is 11-1. Let's be honest. I mean, I understand what you're saying that they have 2 games left, but darkest day 2 on tap, that would be something. I don't think that it would be quite as devastating because Indiana's a top 5 ranked team. This is a top 5 showdown, people. You've got everybody there. Has game day and big noon kickoff ever been at the same game before? I mean, the entire college football world is focused on this game, people. You've got college game day there. Then you've got the big noon kickoff. I mean, you want to talk about, and I know it's at Ohio State. Doesn't matter. Indiana's a gigantic part of this conversation, and people like Pat McAfee and Lee Corsi, they'll make it Indiana a part of that conversation. But that's 5 hours of national television coverage. Before the game starts, you've got a 3-hour ESPN College Game Day show, a 2-hour Fox Big Noon Kickoff show, 5 solid hours. And they're not going to be talking about your team the whole time, but it doesn't matter. You're a major part of what's going on there. So it's going to be, man, it's going to be, that's going to just be one heck of a game. How does this thing turn out? It's the biggest game in Indiana football program history, without question. What can come from this? You know, a loss, that would suck for Indiana fans, but it's not going to derail them, not in my opinion. I think at 11-1, they make the college football playoffs, especially the new poll comes out tonight. I don't expect Indiana to drop for any reason. They didn't play last week. They were on a bye. Plus Tennessee, who they had just moved in front of, lost. So there's no one pushing them there. I think the top 5 just stays alone. And now you have the 1 week where you're going to play Ohio State. And if you were to lose, I just cannot imagine dropping that far when you lose. If you were to lose to the number 2 team in the country, it's not just getting a loss. So I think that they're fine. I really do. James says 11-1 is the most likely to occur. Now they need to beat Texas A&M, SMU need Texas to beat Texas A&M, SMU to beat Miami in the ACC championship, and a few other things to happen to get a home game in the CFP to happen at an 11-1 record. Yeah, that's not going to happen. The only way Indiana hosts this is very simple, James and everyone. The only way Indiana will host a college playoff game is if they make it to the Big Ten championship, because whoever finishes runner-up in the Big Ten is going to be considered the second best team in the Big Ten, which in hands it will be the second highest rated. If Indiana goes 11-1, they're not hosting. Not in my opinion. But, crazy things happen. But I think that they have to go there. So we've got to take a break. Man, I've been rumbling, running off at the mouth. Our friend Mike DeCourcy joins us when we come back, and we'll do so to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after these messages.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs, plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at BenDavisChevrolet.com and BenDavisFord.com.
Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off your first order.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revesco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com.
Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Morale in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Marie Island, Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular Toasted Coconut Rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Tuesday, joined as always by our good friend Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. Mike, how are you, sir? Oh man, I can't hear you. We're having a. You might want to check your audio for me and make sure that we get connected there, because I'm sure you're doing quite well. Or maybe I should add you to the stage.
I was going to say, like, one way to hear me is to let me out of the waiting room.
Yeah,
I have never done BTN from the green room. We'll work on that.
It doesn't work too well. That's I guess it can't be done, especially in this day and age.
They open both studio doors and turn up the mics really loud, and I hang out the door. You might be able to hear me.
Dave Rebson is back there. He's sending signals or something. How's Mike DeCourcy?
I'm doing great, Jim. How are you?
Good, sir. Your Steelers, man. I look up and where are they? At the top of their division, 8-2. Unbelievably, one of those two losses are to the Colts, but doesn't matter. Sitting up there high atop the North Division in the AFC, and they've been kind of rolling. The big win was it the Ravens they just beat?
They beat the Ravens on Sunday. I was there. I lost two of my closest friends last fall very suddenly, and one of their sons, one of my friends had season tickets, and his son asked me to come to the game. It was his first game going back to the Steelers after losing his dad, and we had a beautiful day. I mean, the weather was unbelievable. The game was excruciatingly exciting. Steelers 6 field goals. I kept looking at Twitter and all the people saying they can't win just kicking field goals. This is the second time this year that they've managed to win a game while kicking only field goals. They are 2-0 in such games this year. Every other team in the NFL is, I believe, 2-17. So it's kind of funny.
Defense, baby, defense. Gotta keep. I guess you must be doing a heck of a job of keeping everybody else out of the end zone.
I wrote about that last week, Jim. That the Steelers have a remarkable record against Lamar Jackson. I mean, nobody else in the league pretty much seems to be able to figure him out. He's now 1-4 against the Steelers. His numbers equate to about a 53 or so. I believe it's something like 53% completions. The passer rating's down around 65 or something like that. He's broken a few long runs, but not many. It's pretty remarkable what they've been able to do, and no one's been able to duplicate. And one of the things I pointed out in the article was it's not just familiarity. They are one of 2 teams with a winning record against Lamar. 3 teams, I'm sorry. But the Raiders have only faced him 3 times, beat him twice. The Chiefs have faced him 5 times, beat him 4 times. And the Steelers are now 4-1 as well. And what I mentioned about the familiarity issue is that the Bengals have faced him a dozen times because he's been healthy for all their games. The Steelers missed him a couple of times because it was the last game of the year and the Ravens' playoff position was established. So they've played him fairly few times for being in the same division for 5 years, 6 years. But the Bengals are 2-10 against Lamar Jackson. So it's not just that they get to see him all the time.
Yeah, no, I remember covering him in college, man. He was just something. And he's still something. He's just better at it than he was then.
Yes.
People don't think of him as good as a thrower as he is, but he's got this weird touch with that ball that it's just uncanny.
What he creates for himself with his ability to move. I mean, he's the greatest runner ever to play the quarterback position, and I think you could argue the greatest, the most dynamic athlete that's ever played the position. He is just staggeringly versatile, elusive, powerful, quick, fast. He's got all those things.
He's a headache is what he is.
Oh, my goodness. I call him a wizard because he just does things that nobody else can do. And the Steelers have found a way to keep that contained. And a really good example of that was the fact that it came down to them stopping a 2-point conversion from the Ravens having a chance to tie the game. and they sent their outside linebacker Herbig in to crash, and he blew up 2 blockers, and then everybody else went after Jackson so that he couldn't run around the left end, and Joey Porter Jr., the cornerback, was the one who got to him first and brought him down. It was a remarkable play, but they have been able to do that on a consistent basis. You would think that everybody else in the league that hasn't figured it out yet would study what the Steelers have done and say, okay, what is it that they're doing that we can replicate? And no one seems to be able to do that.
Yeah, I didn't nickname him the Snake because that nickname was taken, but he always reminded me of one, because if you watched him from behind when he had to run, he just never seemed to take a direct hit. He just like, he's like a snake. He just can wither. And I'm like, how does he do? I just mind boggling. They just cannot get a direct hit on this guy.
Yeah, that's one of the other things that makes him great. And he's had some injury issues, but it's not been for the most part, with the exception, I think it was 22 that he missed a good part of the year. It was 22 because 23 he was MVP. So it was 22 that he missed a good part of the year with injuries. Injuries are something that can happen to any quarterback. I wrote about this several years ago, the idea that running quarterbacks are more vulnerable to injury than pocket quarterbacks. And the reality is quarterbacks are most at risk of being injured when they're in the pocket, because they are stationary while everyone around them is mobile. And that's where most injuries to quarterbacks happen, according to the experts that I spoke to. I don't think that Lamar Jackson being mobile is a problem. And I think that one of the reasons the Ravens have succeeded with him is that they embrace that notion. They're not sending him out there to run 30 times a game because that's not how they're best, and it's not how he's best. But it's not that they're worried about him being injured that they don't run him that much. It's what works for the Ravens as a team. I think that's one of the misconceptions about the NFL and running quarterbacks, and it held the league back for many years. I mean, going back to Cordell Stewart with the Steelers, was a brilliant runner. He wasn't as elusive as Jackson, but might have been faster. And the Steelers would never embrace the notion of a running quarterback, and it cost them probably at least one Super Bowl appearance and maybe more in the early 2000s.
Last night we had the Pitino Bowl as Rick Pitino and Rick Pitino Jr. went at it. St. John's and the Lobos, and the elder statesman won that one again. But he is still such a competitor at whatever age he is now, 70.
He's 72. Something. I believe he's 72.
Yeah, right in there. Yeah, right in there. He still has.
Oh, yes.
When he's on the sideline, I love watching him on the sideline. He is like, he's over there stalking. He's beside himself all the time, and I love it.
There is some sort of psychological component to being that competitive at that age. It's really fascinating to see how guys like him, like Tom Izzo, like Mike Krzyzewski was before he retired at 75. What drives someone to be that competitive at that age when you've already done everything there is to do? You've won the national championship. You've been named to the Hall of Fame. You've made more money than you could ever spend. Even if you got somehow restored to being 20 years old, you'd still have more money than you could ever spend. So what it is that drives, it's not, and the idea that coaches always like to say, Jim, that the part that they miss the most is being in the gym at 3:00 on a Wednesday afternoon and teaching and all that. But if that were the case, they wouldn't still be playing at Spinal Tap's 11 on the dial when the game is on. And you see that with Izzo, and you see that with Rick now. When they get a call that doesn't go their way, or a player makes a mistake that they've been maybe told 16 times in practice not to do, they still are right over that line. They're at full blast. So it's not, I'm sure they love practice. I'm sure that they love the teaching element of their jobs. But if you don't have what that that drive to be competitive on game night and to be ultra competitive on game night, you're not still doing this, because you could go grab a bunch of kids and have a clinic and get the same reward out of teaching and coaching, and maybe even more so because you're introducing young people to the sport that you loved and have loved your entire life and have helped make great. I think that competitive element of that is still a very important component of why we see people like Rick and Tom and Jim Larinaga and Leonard Hamilton continue to go at it. You see the occasional coach that gets to 64 or 63 or 62 or whatever and says, you know what, the new game is not for me. And we saw that with Tony Bennett. I think he's in only his 50s still. New game's not for me. I don't want any part of it anymore. And that's fine. I mean, whatever makes you happy, you should do. But I don't, if NIL and the transfer portal are driving all the old coaches out of the game, why are so many of the old coaches still in the game, Jim? That's the dichotomy that no one wants to try to explain.
I'm not buying that because there's too many that are still staying in it, and I'm like, okay, that's nice for you to say, but that cannot be the truth.
Well, Kurt Cignetti. Well, I mean, we haven't talked about Indiana football. Kurt is basically my age, and he just signed up for another 8 years, man. And will be well compensated for those 8 years.
Oh yeah, don't worry, we'll get to that. I wanted to talk about the Big Ten and basketball right now, because we didn't know what they looked like. We were nothing to gauge it by. Well, now we've got some stuff to gauge it by. Wisconsin beats number 9 Arizona. Purdue beats Alabama. That is a great start to the season for the Big Ten, showing that, there are some teams not so fast, my friend. The Big Ten is going to be around to battle this year. We haven't seen Indiana get tested yet.
Right.
We will, as they head to the Bahamas. They'll play Louisville and Gonzaga and whomever else they end up playing. But the early results don't write off the Big Ten.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that there was as much negativity about the Big Ten as there was in the preseason rankings and polls. I thought that coming off of last year that Purdue would be a top 10 team. And even with look, I realize that Zach Edey's an all-time great, but even with basically 5 heavy rotation players coming back off of last year, they still were in the double digits in the preseason rankings. I thought that they showed that they were capable, and they lost the Jacobson kid, their big center, who was their best best big man who is a defender, or best defender who is a true big man. I mean, I should say, and they lost him, and they still went out and clocked Alabama. And I know it was a home game and all that, but Alabama is my choice to win the national championship, and they still did that.
They beat them 2 years in a row now.
Yeah. Wisconsin, a team that most of us had fighting to be relevant this year because of their player losses after last year, to do that. I mean, they didn't just beat Arizona. They hammered Arizona. They were up huge in that game, ended up winning by 15 points. That's a great sign for the league. We saw Maryland, a team that was not projected to finish high, really challenge Marquette. They weren't able to get the win, but Marquette is a top 20 team for me and many others. We've seen some really good wins throughout the league, and I think it should be very encouraging for Big Ten fans. And remember, if you're an Indiana fan, you want every team in the league to win every game they play until they get in the league, and then you start wanting this team to lose because it helps us, or that team to lose because we don't like them or whatever. If you're an Indiana fan, you want Purdue to win every game, non-conference, whether you like them or, even if they're your arch rival, you still want them to win every game, because then every time you beat them and you get to play them twice, it means that much more. It's not just, we beat Purdue. Meanwhile, Purdue is 4-20 or whatever. No, it's we beat Purdue, and they're the number 4 team in the Ken Palm and the number 6 team in strength of record or whatever. All those things help you as a fan of the Hoosiers to get where you want to go. So I think it's really important for fans of individual teams to understand how important it is that their league do well outside the league. If you don't think it's true, ask a Pitt fan, ask a Wake Forest fan, ask a St. John's fan. All those teams last year fell out of the tournament because they were at the very edge of things. And then all these, what Jerry Palm, my friend Jerry Palm, calls bid stealers, started to happen with NC State winning the ACC and UAB winning the the American Conference, and so many others of those happening. Mountain West had happened with New Mexico winning. And they took bids off the board that would have gone to teams like Wake and Pitt, etc. But their problem was that they were at the very edge of things because their league wins didn't mean as much, because you had so many poor teams and epically poor teams in Louisville's case over the last 2 years that hurt you when you beat them. That's what you can't have in a league. You can't have teams that poor that you play them at home and you're getting a quad 4 game. You should never get a quad 4 game in a home game in a major conference. And they were getting a lot of those over the last 2 years in the ACC, and it hurt everyone involved.
Well, you could ask Indiana fans. They've got a lesson on metrics last year by so yeah, I think that they have a education in that now. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News is with us here, coming to you from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Much more coming up. We'll switch to football when we come back right after these messages.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today.
At Ben Davis Chevrolet and Ben Davis Ford in Auburn, we're your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs. We have the area's best selection of over 300 vehicles, including new cars, trucks, vans, and SUVs. Plus a huge selection of pre-owned vehicles in stock. And if we don't have what you're looking for, we'll find it for you. We also have top-of-the-line service and parts, plus a collision repair center, and we're competitively priced on everything. For sales, service, collision, parts, and more, we do it all. Come see us today or visit us online at BenDavisChevrolet.com and BenDavisFord.com.
I mean, look, we got a group of guys and coaches that have won 24 out of their last 25 games. So we don't have a confidence problem. Well, I mean, I think it's all out there. You know, I think any P4 school with the proper commitment is capable of being successful and being ultimately successful. Because, you know, really the difference between victory and defeat in most of these games is very slim. And it's all attainable. So we've put ourselves in a position right now to be talked about quite a bit. That's nice. It doesn't help us prepare, doesn't help us play any better. But, you know, we've got some great opportunities ahead of us. And this is a team that's capable. And the only limitations on this football team would be those we put on ourselves between our ears. But this is a group of guys that do not think that way. And we're going to go in to this next game confident, believing, and we're going to go out there and we're going to play well.
Kurt Cignetti meeting with the media yesterday, but Mike, I sent out a tweet actually before this presser, which was yesterday. I think I sent this out, I don't know, Saturday, but it simply said, Kurt Cignetti has become possibly the most quoted person in America. and I think that that's accurate because he is continuously coming up, and they did it again with, we don't have a confidence problem.
Yes.
Bam.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, boom, boom. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, God, he's a machine, man. He is a machine. And he is. And that's part of why Indiana fans love him. Of course, let's start with the 10-0 record. That and it starts everything, but he's got some Bob Knight in him, which that's going to endear him to the older fans. And by Bob Knight, and I mean he says what he thinks, but he's kind of brash. Which Bob Knight wasn't a bragger, but it's his meticulous. That's not a word I'm about to make up, so I'm not even going to try to do that. It's his attention to detail. Because go listening to him over and over, you hear it's kind of like how Indiana basketball would prepare. They prepared to be perfect, even though that's not attainable. It was the constant chasing that and the high standard. But you get what you see with him without question. There's no BS, and he. But the major difference between him and Bob Knight, he enjoys the hell out of this. I mean it. I think that he really does enjoy it in a fun way, and I don't mean it in a bad way. He enjoys interacting with people. He enjoys being in this position, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I had no thoughts that he would be leaving Indiana, because I keep saying it over and over. He was doing what nobody else had been able to do at a place where it was not possible to do. So he's not leaving. If he can do it here, man. And and I missed the other one. I should have pulled that one up. Actually, I did have that up yesterday, and I think I took it down. But it was when he was on with Fox after he signed his contract, and he said, "Why would I leave? We're the emerging superpower in college football." I mean, it's just like you need a scorecard to keep up with him, and I'm gonna try to put together a montage of his great quotes so far.
I was watching yesterday, and when he said that we don't have a confidence problem, I just about fell out of my chair. It going on with the quote from the beginning of the year, "Look me or Google me." That was one, and then the one on Saturday, the emerging superpower one was tremendous. He's great. And what's amazing is that he is this. He's a lot of guys who are so quotable. I go back to maybe Abe Lemons from when I was very young, and he was coaching at Texas and later somewhere in Oklahoma, and he was really funny, and he had a lot of quotes that were born of his remarkable sense of humor. He could have been a comedian had he chosen a different path. Judd Heathcote was like that. Judd was the funniest person I've ever met that wasn't a comedian. Just staggeringly funny. And that it's not really Kurt's not. I mean, Kurt may very well be funny. I haven't had interactions with him yet, but in these press conference settings, he's not funny. He just has a way of giving you an unbelievable soundbite, and they don't feel rehearsed. It's not like they feel spontaneous, but he has a great way of doing that. And I know that doesn't win you any games, but it does make the show around the games more fun. And one of the things that college football has bothered me over the years is that they haven't in the past put the game at front and center. They've put the argument about the game front and center. That's what they've done for the prior 100 years. And they're trying to do it now with all these scenarios about what happens if this happens and that happens and who gets screwed and all that kind of stuff. I think we're still a little ahead of ourselves on panicking over who's going to get left out. But I think that he is able to infuse that part around the game with more compelling content without necessarily detracting from the game. It's all game centric. It's all about the sport, not about the argument.
Absolutely. And he is, it's not bragging if you can do it, but I think some of the times he's acknowledged, like when he was out on the basketball floor and when he got introduced last year and he says, Purdue sucks. And so did Michigan and Ohio State. He has acknowledged that he was kind of PO'd at how he could tell that the football reception was he was going to shake it up, and he did just that, and he has not stopped shaking it up since his very introduction. But I think that he says things from confidence. I mean, he ain't lying. He is Googling. He's won. That's what he does, and they've continued to do it. All the people that said, oh, yeah, well, that's not going to transfer to the Big Ten. That's not going to transfer to the big boy league or the FBS, the higher up in the FBS. Oh, they're just 10-0. So now everyone wants to harp on Indiana's schedule, yada, yada. Right. This team is good. They may lose to Ohio State. That does not make this team not a good team. I'm telling you, there's only two teams in America that are in the top 10 in both offense and defense. And the other one is Ole Miss, another high octane. I'm surprised how good they are defensively. But that puts you in rare air. They're Indiana statistically, they're good. They have a top 25 passing defense. Their rushing defense is much higher than that. Total defense, they're number 7. Offensively, they've been what they have been. So for people to even pretend that this is not a good or a dangerous team, people, especially, what is it that Greg Sankey wants? For this just to be an SEC tournament? Because I don't think that they would be satisfied if it wasn't just completely monopolized by the SEC.
Well, all conference commissioners do that. They argue for as many bids as they can get. It's been true in the NCAA men's basketball tournament for as long as I've covered it, that there's always a team that gets, from their particular league that should have been in. And that's true in every major conference every year, especially for a guy like Sankey who likes to be quoted. It wasn't always true necessarily with Jim Delaney in the Big Ten. If you heard from him about a team that got left out, it probably deserved it. But you hear that a lot from people who are trying to promote, and partly because they feel like if they don't, they're membership is going to be mad at them. That you didn't do enough to get us in.
Right.
I heard that a lot with the ACC last year relative to Jim Phillips, who's a friend and who I really admire. It doesn't matter what Jim Phillips does. And Jim, even to an extent, talked about the narrative around their league. It's not about narrative. Like the committee doesn't care. And how do you know? Well, because you look at the bracket matrix, which has 211 online brackets last year, and how close all of us come. So it's not, we're not following narratives. We don't care. We're following the math, following the results. And it's not, it's not just a computer thing, because I'm no, me, Jim, I'm no computer whiz. It's about how you apply the rankings, the ratings, the metrics, and the results to the 68 positions that are available on the bracket. That's really what it is. It's how do you apply the logic of that to the logic of the bracket. And the problem in college football playoff circumstance is we don't know what the logic is. We don't know if there's any logic at all. That's the problem. And they have been very opaque about this. I attended a conference call about their process that they put on a month ago or so. And I left with basically no more information after having sat there for 45 minutes or whatever it was than I had when I went in. I was very disappointed in that, because the NCAA men's basketball committee started about 15 to 18 years ago, trying to make sure that everybody understands how this process works, so that when you get to March, there are no conspiracies. There's no, oh, we got hosed. I mean, we still hear that a little bit, but everybody really knows how the process works now. And that's, like I said, that's why 200 people can get together and all come pretty close to matching what the committee's final product is. But we don't have that in football. And I'm worried about that because they can basically do whatever they want. And that's why when the initial rankings came out, Pat Forty did a good column on SI.com about the addiction to brand or the preference for brand.
Brand bias.
I think if you look at, like right now, if you look at Notre Dame's season, and people complain about Indiana's schedule. Okay, so Notre Dame did go to Texas A&M and did get a nice win there. Not a great win, but a nice win. And they have played a schedule that is bereft ever since. I mean, it is vacant. And they have the single worst loss of any team that is even discussed in this. I mean, it's not even close. Nobody else has a Northern Illinois home loss. So why is Notre Dame a automatic? Those are the things that you would not wonder about if the process were open as we have in the NCAA tournament. If the process and look, the NCAA doesn't allow you to look in and see, okay, say, okay, we're voting them here, but you understand what they're doing when they go into that room. You know what tools they're using and how they're likely to be applied. You can't predict what 8 to 10 people are going to do with that information and be 100% accurate. But you know what the process is and what the information is and how the results dictate they're likely to interpret it. With football, the problem they still have is the idea that you don't know what they're going to do and they don't want to tell you about it, because at the end of the day, they're still putting on a little bit more of a television show than they are of a championship. That's the reality. The championship is more forefront than it's ever been in college football history, but there's still that television show element to it.
Absolutely. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News, I cannot ever thank you enough, brother.
Oh, it's such a pleasure, Jim. We will see you next Tuesday.
I cannot wait. Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News. Make sure you're giving him a follow and reading up on the content on the Sporting News. Much more coming up. Chronic Hoosier will join us, and Byron Baldwin Indiana's 4th highest ranked recruit in football program history, when we return after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. Hoosier Hanks East, located on College Ball Road in front of Kroger in Bloomington, is everything you could want. Great food like their custom pizzas, wings, wraps, unbeatable daily drink specials, live music on Fridays, and Hoosier Hanks East is home to Inside Indiana Football and Inside Indiana Basketball coaches shows hosted by Don Fisher. Be on the lookout for Hoosier Hanks ticket giveaways to Indiana and Colts games on social media. Stop by and meet Hoosier Hank at Hoosier Hanks East on College Ball Road in Bloomington. Hungry for something a little different? Well, head to the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet southern charm with a Cajun flair, like their loaded voodoo fries, gator bite, or jambalaya, and so much more. The Rusty Gator also has live music each Friday and Saturday night with some of the best local and regional artists around. Visit the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford and get your Cajun on. If you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Advanced Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl Sizemore from RE/MAX Realty at Cheryl@IndyHomePros.com or 317-701-0838. 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore help you find the home you want today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this beautiful Tuesday. I hope everyone's having a great one. Chronic Hoosier joins us now. Chronic, how are you, sir?
Could not be better, man. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Plenty going on for Hoosier fans right now. The Indiana women kind of get off the it was not a great start to the season. Let's just say that. Surprising and it's kind of disappointing, but they beat Stanford, which that surprised the hell out of me. I'm not going to lie to you.
No joke. After dropping games to Harvard and Butler in kind of an uninspiring way to go up against a ranked Stanford team, that was certainly an unexpected result, but at least considering the start of the season, but back again on par with what you expect from a Terry Morin-led squad. This is a unique roster for her, and as much as she's just lost so much talent over the last several years. And as you're seeing programs everywhere in all sports having to do now, having to really retool the roster through the portal, an emphasis on player development and retention. But as often is the case in those situations now, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get the chemistry just right, to get the mix right. And especially playing for Terry Moore. And man, let's be honest, she is a very demanding, very particular coach in how she wants her team to go about things. And quite frankly, it's not easy to play for. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but in the same way that, playing really good defense is hard. That's why most teams don't do it. And that's the expectation. So good to see him get back on track, back even at 500. And they also have a trip to the Bahamas coming here soon. So hopefully they can get a little bit of sun, rack up some W's, and finish out the early half of the season back on the right foot.
Yeah, everyone's going to the Bahamas except for me, you, and Don Fisher, apparently.
Hey, we got a football team now.
That's right. Love that. As a matter of fact, that's in our new our new open. The Gus Johnson call. Love that. That's a classic. Indiana men's soccer. Also, you want to talk about a grinding season. I would have to call this one of the most grinding seasons for Indiana men's soccer that I have witnessed. And by that, I mean, they didn't start the year like they normally do, but they grounded and grinded, and they end up with a piece of the Big Ten championship and a record. Was it 14th consecutive NCAA seed?
Yeah, they just every year they continue to set records for NCAA tournament appearances, for seeded appearances, you name it. It's the most dominant program in NCAA soccer since its inception. But if you would have asked me at the end of September, I don't like to bet against the Hoosiers, especially Todd Yeagley's Hoosiers. But it seemed increasingly likely that they were going to break all those streaks this season. It just wasn't, the pieces weren't clicking. And as Yeagley's do, October turns and they just absolutely went on a tear. So a little disappointing to see the early exit in the Big Ten tournament. This team, they play for regular season title, conference title, and national titles. That's it. That's how they measure success. There are no participation trophies. And as much as you hate to see them take a loss in the Big Ten tournament and not get that second piece of hardware, there's a piece that's maybe not, after the run they had in October, maybe it's not a bad thing to put a little bit of taste of defeat in their mouth and just get them a little salty heading into the official second season here with the NCAA tournament starting this weekend. Hoosiers hosting a game before they go on the road to the predetermined sites. So great opportunity for Indiana fans to get one last look against the winner of Princeton and Akron, who's still wild to me. Akron, under the leadership of former Hoosier Caleb Porter, was for a while there a perennial power. Don't quite have the daunting nature that they once did, but definitely a team that's going to give you a good fight. So be one great chance for Hoosier fans to go out and really leverage the home field support at Bill Armstrong and send these boys off with the dub and get the tournament rolling, hopefully en route to Cary, North Carolina here.
Yeah, that the weather on Sunday should be perfect for soccer. Mostly cloudy, a high of about 57. So great day. Just put a jacket on, and that should be right up a sports person's alley. Indiana men's basketball also on the court one more time before they head to the Bahamas. Thursday night they will take on University of North Carolina at Greensboro and chronic the last time out against South Carolina. They played probably the best game I've seen Indiana play. I can't say under Mike Woodson, but it's one of the ones that has stood out in my mind because they played well in a lot of different facets. And honestly, not used to seeing that.
No, it's this has been a very refreshing season so far, just 3 games in. I think one of my keys this last Saturday was they came out of the gate strong. And, after starting kind of sluggish against the 2 directional Illinois teams earlier, it was great to see them come out with a lot of fire, a lot of intensity. And man, at the end of the day, it just feels good to see the ball go in the basket. And this team is shooting at a much improved clip. top 50 in the nation in effective field goal percentage at 11th, 3-point percentage at 41st, 2-point percentage at 19th, and brace yourselves, they are currently 36 in the country in free throw percentage at 79%, which is crazy because it seems like Ballo misses quite a bit of them and is being sent to the line quite a bit. And I think South Carolina tried to exacerbate that a little bit going down the stretch. But really, the only thing that I felt like was a little troublesome in that game, they let South Carolina hang around, dangerously late into the game. And
it's funny you say that because I kept sending tweets out during the game talking about how well Indiana was playing. I said, but as well as they're defending, as well as they're shooting the ball, as well as they came out immediately into the game and played right from the start, they played both halves. They can't put this team away. And they couldn't. It was amazing to me. And South Carolina was not shooting the ball well. In the first half, they had 7 made 3-pointers, but only 1 in the second half. But even with that, I agree with you 1,000%. It was weird. The game never felt in doubt, but it never felt it was completely secured.
Yeah, and I actually was talking to a buddy of mine after the game, and you have to wonder if you don't have a little bit of muscle memory built into it now when you're viewing this team over the last several years. How many times you've seen that exact scenario where Indiana's, got double-digit lead, and then in the last 5-6 minutes, danger close, if not, dropping the outcome. So. Not unlike watching Indiana football, to be totally honest. I'm still struggling to, come to grips with the fact that this team can close it out. They can seal the deal. And, as we saw in the Michigan game a couple weeks ago, all those instincts, all the doom and gloom that it's just, beating you to come back inside. Come to find out, it's not necessarily a guarantee that luck is going to turn against the Hoosiers right now. So with the basketball team, you would love to see that killer instinct. I think that's where the depth is going to come in for them. Having so many capable bodies they can run out on the floor and the different looks it can provide. This could be one of those things where it takes a little bit of time for those guys to really develop and flourish in their roles. You continue to see Carlisle kind of finding his groove with the team. Bryson Tucker, trying to figure out where he's going to fit offensively in the sub patterns. Luke Good, and all the way down the line. I mean, quite honestly, there's a lot of guys that I think are trying to feel out the edges of this roster and figure out what spaces they need to fit in. But hopefully one of those is going to be somebody that that just has the killer instinct that can put a team away when they get them. I think it was about 6-7 minutes left in the game. They were up about 15 points. And you really felt like, okay, this is where they blow it open. They break their spirit. And while they didn't necessarily accomplish that, they were able to make the smart plays down the end and, more than covered the spread, which you love to see. But I would like it to feel a little bit more comfortable heading in late. But, that's part of the growing pains. And that's one of the reasons why why you choose the schedule that you do is put these guys in uncomfortable situations, in different situations, and figure out how they respond. So, again, I continue to feel like this is going to be a team that grows and evolves quite a bit, especially in the early portion of the non-conference schedule. But, these are little feathers in their cap that add up to be quite the plume when you take a P5 school like South Carolina, even the Tennessee exhibition for that matter, for all the talk of a cupcake schedule. And it is pretty soft at least the home slate this year, hopefully giving them the experience and the lessons and the film that they need to best prepare for the battle for Atlantis here and really maybe get a sense of where they stand and how they're fit to fight at the national level, because that's the ceiling that this team I think really needs to break through in year 4 of Woody's tenure here is, show up for the big games and bring home some W's, because there's been too many teams in the past that had a lot of hope, and you put them up against the top competition and they just fall flat on their faces, and it's a little bit dejecting. But particularly this year with the schedule being such as it is, you really have to get some big wins when you can for the net rating, if you want to hear your name called and a good seed line come March.
Absolutely. And of course, let's get to the elephant in the room. It's wearing an OSU jersey. Indiana
number 5 in the latest college football poll, but the newest one will come out tonight. I don't expect there to be any change in the top 5, as there was nothing that would have impacted those games. And so Indiana will remain a top. Not only would they remain a top 5 this week, they should be kind of more solidly entrenched, even though they didn't play, because of what happened behind them. And which, to me, taking this now 1 week deeper, that all, to me, all but secures Indiana in the college football playoffs. That because there's no way in my mind that a loss at Ohio State, unless it was 56-7 beatdown or something, there's going to be any impact. There's no way. We've seen teams lose to other ranked teams, and what happens to them. So Indiana is playing the number 2 team that could be the number 1 team, to be honest with you. So I just don't see even a loss knocking them out of that top 12.
This is where I think historical bias is really difficult for Indiana at this point, because there's a raging national conversation right now about how many SEC teams should get in, the validity of Indiana's record and whatnot. And quite honestly, it's beyond frustrating as an Indiana fan. But I think it also just kind of exposes kind of the baked in bias in the system and in the national punditry, quite honestly. You look at Indiana's schedule, you played the defending national champ. You've played the defending national runner-up. Under any other circumstances, those are some of the biggest wins in program history for the Indiana football Hoosiers. And, now you've got everybody and their brother outside the conference trying to diminish the value of those wins. Like Indiana had any say whatsoever in the competitiveness of those teams this year. Quite frankly, it's a little bit ludicrous, because if you did a blind comparison, there's no way in the world you would be saying these type of things about a Texas or about an Ohio State, for that matter. I mean, Indiana.
How about Penn State?
Penn State. I mean, you can go all the way down the line. I have yet to hear a national pundit question Oregon's validity as a number 1, following the razor thin win they just pulled off in Camp Randall. I mean,
never thought that they were number 1. I still think Ohio State is better than Oregon.
It's ludicrous on so many different levels, and it's just coming from all corners right now. And let's be real here with the financial partnerships that have been forged. It's very transparent in the way that certain networks are covering the discussion right now, tending to favor their financial partners. So it's no surprise to see the ESPN class all falling in line behind the SEC and doing everything they can to really diminish Indiana. But at the end of the day, man, the great thing about college athletics is none of what is being said on the airways matters one iota. Once the whistle is blown on Saturday and these two teams kick off, the Indiana's fate is entirely in their hands. They're the ones honestly in pole position right now, and I don't care what the line on the game is. They control their destiny. There is no reason Indiana should not be firmly in the conversation right now, at least tonight, for a bye to be in the top 4. This is a team that has outperformed at every turn this season. So, yes, they're playing one of the most daunting teams in the nation, but this is a team that has no daunt. So let the chips fall where they may. Let's go out there. They got the bye week behind them now, their second bye week behind them now. So hopefully they're rested and healthy. And, the staff is going to give Ohio State its absolutely best shot from a game planning standpoint. So I cannot wait to see what Curtis Rourke can unload. I can't wait to see what this defense can do in the shoe. There would be nothing better than to see that place emptying out early in the fourth quarter when Buckeye fans recognize they've got a W, they've got a loss coming at the hands of lowly Indiana. And at that point, who cares what's been set up to this point? There's really no disputing it unless everybody wants to jump in and say Ohio State's trash too, like everybody's played. But, no differently than the Washington game, no differently than the Nebraska game, and so on and so on. Indiana always seems to have their next biggest test right in front of them until they beat that team, and now all of a sudden that team's trash. So I can't wait to hear that conversation shift to Ohio State and whether or not they belong in the playoff.
Yeah, it's Kurt Cignetti is 7-1 coming off of bye weeks. The last time Indiana had a bye week, we saw what they did to Nebraska, which Nebraska went through some problems after that. But not the week after they played Indiana. What did they do? They went to Columbus and gave the Buckeyes all they wanted in a 4-point loss. But were the Buckeyes overlooking Nebraska? I don't know, but I do know that that's a great comparison to put out there. But you give Kurt Cignetti 2 weeks to prepare for a team, and these guys have just been so good on both sides of the ball, their preparation, their game planning, and he knows what's on the line. They talk the talk about it, it's a big game because it's the next game. No, this one's different. This one's a big game. This is for a lot of marbles right here. This is for an opportunity to play in the freaking Big Ten championship. I can't imagine I'm saying those words, but a truer statement has never been said. They win this game, they're going to Indianapolis and doing exactly what Kurt Cignetti told the Big Ten Network he was going to do at the last Big Ten championship.
Yeah, 1 year ago in December last year, he called a shot. And, the thing coming into this game that's never before been said about Indiana football is they're going to lace them up before kickoff, knowing that they have the full-throated support of the IU administration to their success. And for years and years, if not decades, the biggest complaint I've heard from Indiana fans, from coaches, from athletes even, is the lack of institutional support for the program on par with our competition, with our conference and the national landscape. And after this weekend's announcement of Cignetti's raise and the increased salary pool and just all the resources being devoted to this team, this is the first time Indiana football players are going to be able to lace them up, knowing they're playing for a school that is solidly invested in their success, on par with some of the best programs in the nation. And in the modern era of college athletics and just the resource war that it's become, I don't know that you can overstate just how massive that is. Because while we're still trying to figure out where the chips are going to fall this season, I guarantee you this staff is already leveraging heavily the success they've had, the commitment they've secured to prospects for the future. And, those are just the high school guys. You guarantee current players at other programs across the country have taken notice of what this team's able to accomplish on both sides of the ball. The tape that they've put on, the accolades they've received, and just the ridiculous numbers they've posted. Who wouldn't want to be a part of that? And when you get to play on multiple college game days, multiple big noons in a single season at a school like Indiana is just absurd. And, folks for years have bemoaned how much talent we have locally that gets poached in all directions from us. And do not be surprised if you see those tables starting to turn and some of the best guys in the Midwest decide to lace them up for the cream and crimson going forward, because it's proven now. He wins. You don't need to Google him. Just turn on SportsCenter on any given day, and you're going to see plenty of tape highlighting why this is the place you want to be if you want to make the next step.
Absolutely. I mentioned earlier, I don't recall SportsCenter's game day or ESPN's college game day and Fox's big noon kickoff both being at the same game on the same day. And that happens this Saturday.
Yeah, I feel like they just did that a week or two ago. I can't recall. Is that the Ohio State-Penn State game? I think it happened just earlier this season, as a matter of fact. But nevertheless, you've got all the eyes in the country going to be squarely focused on what Indiana's done and what they're capable of doing. And there's a lot of talk right now about what kind of margin you need to secure in order to not slip in the event of a loss. Forget about that, man. I'm wondering how many can you put on Ohio State in the horseshoe, because this team has shown, man, they don't care where. They don't care who. They're going to come out and punch you in the mouth, and they're going to do it from whistle to whistle, nonstop until that game is closed. So this is, we've said it many times this week, arguably the biggest game in program history right now, and they've had plenty of time to prepare. They've had plenty of time to get healthy. You got to imagine Curtis Work's hand is feeling as good as it has since the injury. And you got to wonder how much of that came into play against Michigan. But I can't imagine for a team that's achieved at such a high level, having had such a drop in productivity against Michigan, that's something that they're going to allow to continue going forward. So I can't wait. I absolutely cannot wait. And I cannot wait to see how the conversation changes after this weekend, because you're really taking all the doubt off the table, absent just getting the doors blown off. I think the nation's going to see that this team is real, and they are very dangerous. And I guarantee you Ryan Day shares that opinion right now after watching film.
No, I promise you, they have complete respect for what they're doing. Coaches are smarter than most fans, knowing no ill intent meant to anyone out there, but coaches know to pay attention. Chronic Hoosier, thank you, brother. We'll get plenty to talk about next week, as the Hoosiers will be on their way to the Bahamas, and we'll have the results of this game.
Can't wait, man. I'll catch you then.
Absolutely. Chronic Hoosier joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We have plenty more coming up, and Byron Baldwin joins on the other side of this break. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
Country living is just a swing away. It can be hard to find the exact home that fits your family's needs, so there couldn't be a better time to build a new home with Property Shore Construction. Now building exclusively south of Bloomington within the Stonecrest Golf Community. Choose from one of the gorgeous Stonecrest Signature Series house plans. We have several lots available with scenic views of the golf course. Contact Amy Rhoda with Revestco Real Estate for additional information. 812-583-0919 or go to mystonecrestliving.com.
Hoosier Hanks East, located on College Ball Road in front of Kroger in Bloomington, is everything you could want. Great food like their custom pizzas, wings, wraps, unbeatable daily drink specials, live music on Fridays, and Hoosier Hanks East is home to Inside Indiana Football and Inside Indiana Basketball coaches shows hosted by Don Fisher. Be on the lookout for Hoosier Hanks ticket giveaways to Indiana and Colts games on social media. Stop by and meet Hoosier Hank at Hoosier Hanks East on College Ball Road in Bloomington. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Ugly Grouper, located on beautiful Anna Maria in Florida, is the place to be, and not just because they have unforgettable meals, including locally sourced seafood. The Ugly Grouper has your favorite craft beers and cocktails, along with live music every day. The Ugly Grouper is family-friendly, able to host private parties, and has the biggest grouper you've ever seen. The Ugly Grouper is the place to be on Anna Maria in Florida. Tell them Indiana Sports Beat sent you. Go to theuglygrouper.com for more information. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, here on this Tuesday, and we are so fortunate to have one of Indiana's latest commitments and one that was on a lot of people's minds. Byron Baldwin, a four-star safety. How are you doing, man? First of all, how are you? And I'm sure that it's a relief just to have all that stuff behind you.
Man, I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I cannot complain. If I was any better, I'd be you.
Right.
Excited now that you've gotten this stuff out of the way, the commitment, and I know the decommitment. I saw all kinds of stuff probably start coming at you. People start coming at you. But now that you've been able to put it aside and just focus on what you're doing next and all of that, but it has to be a great relief.
Man, it's amazing relief. I'm not gonna lie to you. There was a lot of suspense in between, the decommitment, the going to schools and stuff, but it's all out there now. So it feels great.
Absolutely, always. And what was, in generality, what was it that sold you on Indiana? I know you had been there a lot of times before and talked to guys and committed and then decommitted, but what was it that ultimately sold you on being the school that you wanted to play?
So, I mean, like at first in April, I had like 20 offers in April. Tennessee, like my top four was Tennessee, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Indiana. So like I've been knew that Indiana was the place for me, scheme wise, where everybody's leaving. I knew that back in April, so that's why I committed. But now it was the biggest thing was really when I took them visits and I realized that family factor that I had built over the past couple of months, and that like you can't really believe the hype. Really, like I had to go where home really is.
And did you just say something about family?
Yes.
Well, it's ironic that you say that because I made that comment not too long ago, and I think it was to Coach Cignetti's wife that was here, and I said, it's kind of amazing the family atmosphere that has come along with this coaching staff. It's not just one, it's all of them. I mean, I see Pat Kuntz out there with his kids. Coach Cignetti's daughter just got engaged after the Michigan game on the football field. And it has been such a family-oriented thing that it's palpable. You can actually see it from my standpoint. So the fact that you can see that as well, I'm sure that made a huge difference.
For me, it goes deeper than just the coaches, like even the players. Like how welcoming the players are. Like Farrell and Jameer Sharp, like all of them, and even the commits that's committed. Like since I've been committed since April, so I've been recruiting like most of the guys that kind of really committed. Like I've been knowing them heavy since April, so just built it all together.
And speaking of that, there has been a couple of flips lately and other commitments. What does that mean for you to see those kind of guys, that level of talent like yourself, also coming in to Indiana?
I mean, it means a lot because now people are really starting to believe the same thing that, a couple of us believed that in the summertime, so it means a lot, and as long as our coaches are welcoming them, I'm riding with the coaches. So if they're welcoming them, I'm with them as well.
Absolutely. And it's been a great ride for Indiana and the defense. I mean, both sides of the ball, but they're one of only, I think, two teams, including Ole Miss, that are ranked in the top 10 in the country in offense and defense. Yeah. That's a pretty big plateau to hold.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
What all are you looking forward to in bringing your game into to a team like this? How long before you think you can actually be an impact player on that team?
I feel like I can come in and make impact immediately. Because especially with me early enrolling, then the biggest thing is just me getting the schematics down, making sure I'm knowing everything, and making sure I'm just knowing my job, so I can just come in and just do my job whenever that's presented.
We got Byron Baldwin with us, a four-star safety. that recently just committed to Indiana. As a matter of fact, it was just last Friday, I think, right? When you did that at halftime of one of your games that you were not playing in, by the way, for people who are wondering. It was not playing in that night. But what was it what have you seen in not just Coach Cignetti, but Brian Haynes, Ola Adams, who I know that you talked to the most position coach-wise? What was it, though, you saw in all of these guys that convinced you that this was the place?
How they can develop people, like the people and especially that safety room, like Sean Asbury, he's very short. Like when I was with him maybe 2 weeks ago after the Michigan game, he's a 5'10", and to see that like they're thriving in that system and that defense, like D'Angelo Pons, like he's another small guy, and just to see them be developed by Coach Ola, Coach Haynes, Coach Ojan, and it's just like I know I can come in there and get developed as well and thrive in that system as well and make a big impact on that team.
And what's it like for you to watch those guys play, knowing that you're going to be in their position as soon as next season?
I'm itching. Like even when I was at the Michigan game, I couldn't sit still. Like every play that was there, me, Davion C3, we all jumping up, we running up and down the stands. Like it's amazing. I'm ready to go, really.
I was going to say, did you wish you could run into the locker room and dress out and come back out?
Yes, for sure.
So, I assume you'll be able to follow along as Indiana, most probably heading to the college football playoffs, which will be a great thing. But they've got a huge game coming up this Saturday as they travel to number 3 Ohio State, a top 5 matchup. That's got to be a game that is on your mind.
Yes, it's been on my mind for a couple of weeks now. I'm not gonna lie to you.
What are your expectations for that?
After being with like Farrell and Sharp, I don't think like their mentality, like they're dogs. There's some dogs in that safety room. So like just hearing how they talk about ball, and it's not like they're not intimidated at all. They're more so they ready to go out there and prove themselves. Like they like when we was having the conversation, they were pretty much saying like they're not really giving up anything. Like nobody's on that defense is just going to let up nothing. Like they're going to have to earn everything. Or it's just going to be good on good, really, because they're coming with it this week.
And you're one of the top defensive backs in the country, offers from big-time schools, UCLA, Virginia Tech, Penn State, Missouri, Florida, Colorado. And it had to be a difficult thing to pare it down to one. But how difficult was it to get all of those others out and then get it narrowed down to just one?
It was very difficult. I would say like the most difficult thing was decommitting from the families, like decommitting from Indiana, because that really like I really genuinely like I have a lot of love for Bloomington, for the state of Indiana, like Hoosiers, like so just being just having the decommit and it kind of seemed like a little bit disrespectful, but just having to lead the fan base and going to those visits and stuff. I think that was the hardest thing. But it was those visits that when I came back, like the Nebraska game, the Michigan game, been around all the commits, talking to the guys, talking to the coaches, talking to Coach Sig, it was a place that I can't leave.
What was it, Byron, that led you to decommit for the little while? Was it you just wanted to make sure that you were not shortchanging yourself in anything and making sure that your decision was right?
Yes, that's really what it was, because I transferred schools my senior year to St. Francis, and at the time, like before the season, was the 17th team in the nation. So when schools started to see me, like I started putting my talents on display. And I was keeping up. Like I came in starting, I was holding it down, keeping the top on the defense. I started getting a lot of offers. Started getting Colorado, UCLA, Penn State, Missouri, Florida. I just wanted to just take a step back, really, just make sure like I'm not missing anything. Just make sure I'm making the best decision for me and my family for the next couple of years, really.
And I know it kind of came down to Indiana and Colorado, which a lot of the talk there, no doubt why anyone would blame anybody for looking there with Deion Sanders alone. He is one of the greatest who ever played the game, but it had to be tough to decide between those two because they're starting to play well, not probably as good as well as Indiana is right now, but that probably had to be difficult for you.
Yeah, well, especially me being a DB and a versatile DB at that, because I can play corner, I can play every position in the safety room. But just really believing in Coach Ola, Coach Sig, like believing in that actual formula that's been working for a long time, and knowing that like the people I need to be around in order to thrive, in order to become the best me. That's really what it came down to, really.
Yeah, coach talks about the standard that he has, that he requires, that his teams play with. Talks about it a lot, and that they don't deviate from that. And that's the one positive. That's another positive that you kind of know what you're getting with the entire staff. But with Kurt Cignetti, has that been your experience?
Yes, it really has. Like the same thing you said, like what you see on interviews and all that. That's exactly how he is. He's straight business. Like he means what he says. And since my first unofficial, like that was one of my key points that I took from him, really, because I took my unofficial in March. So like the team was nowhere near what it was now. It wasn't too much talking on the field, wasn't too much juice on the field. But I could see that like afterwards is the way that he gets everybody's attention, like the way that everybody was bought in. It was like I realized that, and that stood out to me, really.
I can imagine. What are you going to do now between is your season still going?
No, my season is over.
So now you get to work out. What are some of the things that you're working on your own skill set? Have you had some input from the coaches, the things to work on?
So right now I'm just sharpening, make sure all my tools are sharp. Make sure my shoes are taut, but I'm going heavy in the weight room right now. I'm working on the morning time and afternoon. So just keeping my tools sharp and making sure I'm gaining a little bit of weight before I get on campus so I can, start putting on more.
Everyone always talks about the when you go up a level, it's a difference that you can't really imagine until you're there, because everybody that's there was probably the best player on their high school football team. So you got a lot of the best that'll be standing there, but you're going to have the opportunity. And that's another thing we've seen. Kurt Cignetti doesn't care who you are, if you're a freshman or a senior. If you're putting out the product, if you're producing, that's what he cares about. Production over potential. And so everyone gets a shot.
Yeah, and I believe it as well. My main thing coming is just making sure I do my job. Like, that's it. That's how I got to where I am now, just doing my job and just making sure I'm doing what I need to do.
And Indiana, again, they've got more games coming up. Will you be able to go to any more games? I know that there's only one more home game. They've got the game at Columbus next week. And then, obviously, they're probably going to be playing in the college football playoffs. So there'll be something there. But will you be able to attend anymore?
I was thinking about going to the Ohio State game, and I was trying to plan on going to the Purdue game as well. But nothing's finalized yet.
We'll be looking for you. What else was it about Indiana that you've seen that maybe even since the first time you committed, between that point and when you recommitted, what did you see some differences? Obviously, you got to see how well that they have played all year long, and it's been very consistent. It has not been a here and there thing. They have consistently on defense just been lights out and been able to shut teams down. And they're one of the top teams against the pass in the country right now as well. So they're certainly going to be looking forward to having someone like you in the fold.
So really my biggest thing was just seeing them get better every week, really. Talking to Coach Ola and hearing him like harp on the smallest things just so they can just get a little bit better every single week and building on it. And it's bring them to the team that they are now, and that's really it. Just making sure they're getting better every week.
And we hear a lot about Coach Sig and Coach Haynes, but the other position coaches not as much. What is it about Ola that makes him such a great fit for you and someone that you really want to play for?
I mean, Coach Ola, he's really a football junkie. Since my first time talking to him, he's been expanding my mind of the game, like. Because when I was at Calvert Hall, he's been teaching me techniques. He's been teaching me you the high safety. You need to read the shoulders. There's a 3-step drop. When you take his hand off the ball, that's when you break. Like he's been expanding my mind since my first time talking to him. but he loves the game. Like he harps on the smallest things, and that's what I do. And my main thing was just imagine me being around you for 3 years. Like all we need is 3 years with just me and you, and that's it. And like I'll be good. Like that's why I ended up committing so early as well, because I really believed in him and I trust him really.
And as good as you are, and as well as you have performed, how much does it blow your mind to still realize how much there is that you don't know yet, that there is to still learn from someone like Ola and the rest of the coaching staff?
I mean, it's amazing, really. I'm a sponge though, so like I listen to like we'll be on the phone. Me and Coach Ola will be on the phone a lot, but he talks about so much stuff, and I might not know specific things, but I'm grasping it as we talk, and I'm asking questions, and I'm starting to understand things, even though I may not understand it fully. It's just interesting to just like kind of be ahead of the game a little bit.
It was there just a certain moment or something specific that just kind of clicked through all of this, whether it was a conversation with Coach Ola or anyone else, and you finally just said, "Man, boom, this is it. There's no place else."
When I went to that Michigan game, that was my second time. Like I went to the Nebraska game before that, but after that Michigan game, I knew I was going to come home, and I want to let everybody know that as well. Like let a couple people know, like yeah, like this is home. I'm coming back. Like this is for me.
You keep calling it home. I mean, that is that part of that family atmosphere that you harping back to?
I think so. I told you, like, I really do. Like I have a genuine bond and love for Bloomington and the whole Hoosier Nation. Like I really enjoy it there, and I feel like I'm gonna do great things there for the next couple of years.
Well, I'm sure they're going to love you. What was your experience like when you stood there and you saw the stadium full, the people jacked up, you had college game day, all of that stuff going on that's happening with Indiana? There's college game day again for the Ohio State game coming up on Saturday. But having all of that emotion that's going on, man, that has to be palpable for you as well.
I mean, like the recruits, we sit right behind the bench. So like just taking a step to just taking a second just to look behind us, and it's like, dang, like it just gave me chills, really. And me and Davion, we was on the phone one time, and he was going through his Twitter, and we seen some like old videos of like the IU Stadium throughout the games and stuff, and it was like looked like middle school games, like it wasn't anybody there. And it was like, dang, like it really came a long way, and to be a part of that,
quick.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing, man. It's a lot more to come, man. I can't wait.
And then, of course, Coach Curt Cignetti signs a new contract. They're still in the middle of his first season, but now they have extended him. They basically have locked him down into the next decade, farther beyond when you'll even be at IU. How important is it knowing that your coach is going to be there?
I mean, it's very important. It's very important. Coach Sig, he was recruiting me. He was at JMU my sophomore year. So to know that he's actually going to be there for sure, for the time that I'm going to be there, like, it's amazing. I'm not going to lie to you. It means a lot.
And it has to mean a lot that they followed you, that they just, hey, we really want you, because they have been chasing you since they were at another school.
Yeah. That was another big thing in my recruitment from the first process as well. Like knowing that they did stick with me, knowing that they got Coach Ola, Coach Haynes. Coach Haynes came with him. It was a no-brainer. Coach Ola, since my first time meeting Coach Ola, he's always told me, like, I watched a lot of safeties. Like this is when I was a junior. Like I was a 3-star. He was like, I watched a lot of safeties, and there's no one on my board. Like, you're the best safety I've seen out of all of them. Like, and he really stood on that the entire time.
What does that mean to you personally when you hear that coming from coaches that are coaching one of the best defenses in the country right now, like I said, but they're telling you that, man, we want you because we have complete confidence in your talents?
Man, I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good.
It means a lot, really, because, like the type of person I am, like I always believed in myself before anybody else did. So to hear somebody like genuinely coming to me and expressing how they actually feel and knowing that I feel the exact same way is like, I'm ready to ride. Like I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to ride for him because that's just the type of person I am, really, and I really appreciate that from them. And that was a big thing in my recruitment as well.
Well, I'm sure that Coach Kurt Cignetti, Brian Haynes, Ola Adams, they're all salivating, waiting for you to get on campus, and they probably wish you could suit up right now. Not that they're not playing well, just to always have another great player when you're playing the schedule they're playing. And it's got to be cool knowing you're going to be playing the Ohio States, the Michigans, all the Penn States, Oregons, all of these teams. Indiana's in the top 5 right now with Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State. That's pretty phenomenal.
Man, I'm ready. I can't wait. I'm gonna be honest. Like, even like those Big Ten games, Ohio State was my dream school. Like growing up, like I loved Ohio State. But now that I get to go against them, Ohio State has to feel me when they go against me. Like I got something for Ohio State. I'm telling you.
Well, maybe you can bring that a little bit of luck to the Hoosiers this weekend as they'll be taking on the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes in a top 5 showdown, man. Byron, I cannot thank you enough for taking some time out. I know you're busy, especially lots of people wanting to talk to you now, but thank you. Appreciate you. And hopefully we get to do this again before you get to school, and we'll keep on rolling with this.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Byron Baldwin joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Lots more coming up. We'll be back with it right after this. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. When it comes to apparel and promotions, FreeThink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. FreeThink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. FreeThink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what FreeThink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Enjoy healthy, delicious meals at home without the hassle with the Fresh Fork. Chef-curated, ready-made meals delivered right to your doorstep. Proudly fueling IU athletes and now available to you with a menu that's always fresh and diverse, from hearty proteins to fresh salads. The Fresh Fork empowers you to make better food choices without compromising. Let the Fresh Fork help transform your lifestyle for a healthier way of living today at thefreshforkonline.com. Use promo code RADIO20 and get $20 off of your first order. Hungry for something a little different? Well, head to the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford, where oceanic flavors meet southern charm with a Cajun flair, like their loaded voodoo fries, gator bites, or jambalaya, and so much more. The Rusty Gator also has live music each Friday and Saturday night with some of the best local and regional artists around. Visit the Rusty Gator Fork and Ale in Bedford and get your Cajun on. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive.
Thank you. Oh, my. All of that, and didn't know you couldn't hear me, but thank you very much for being with us here on this Tuesday. Sorry about that. My mic was muted. But welcome back. Lots going on this week. As I said, beginning tomorrow, Kyle Neddenrip will join us, and Indiana high school football playoffs are deep into their run. The state finals are coming this weekend, or next weekend rather, at Lucas Oil Stadium. So much going on next Thanksgiving weekend. Holy cow. You've got the Indiana men's basketball and the Indiana women's basketball programs down in the Bahamas. You will have Indiana. We will know exactly what is going on with them, and the bucket game. And that sellout, that could be something. Can you imagine if Indiana were 11-0 going into that bucket game? That would be something. So looking forward to that as well. But big thanks to everybody that was on with us today. Of course, Mike DeCourcy, Chronic Hoosier, as always, and Byron Baldwin. Man, he's jacked and ready to play. You could tell he is all in. And I know some people get a little itchy because they were when he decommitted. I don't think that there was anything nefarious going on. I think that he was just making sure that he owed it to himself to check things out. But let me tell you, and I forgot to mention it to him, but I've mentioned it on here before. I don't recall someone decommitting from a school in basketball or football and then coming back to them. It doesn't happen, because usually when you decommit, you've got another suitor in mind. Kind of like breaking up at that, well, the girls break up that boyfriend. They got another dude on the line, baby. You're out. So Brian thinks the bucket game will be close for a minute. Well, maybe the first minute. It shouldn't be. Let's hope not. That would be not good for Indiana. So we'll see that. But tomorrow, of course, Wednesday, Rick Bozich, the captain, will be with us. Looking forward to that. Dylan Sin as well from the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. And plenty more. We'll hear more from Kurt Cignetti. And don't forget, ISB merch. For those of you that have asked, it is now available. Just simply go to isbradio.itemorder.com. That's pretty simple. isbradio.itemorder. That will get you where you need to go. Plenty of things there. We're adding more things. So if you have some suggestions, please make the suggestions. Changes that are going to be made that not quite how I want them just yet. But one of my favorite things, and again, Jamie Hoy came up with this design, man. I love it. And it is there and available in multiple colors. Welcome to the Sig 10. There you go. You can get sweatshirts, hoodies, whatever you want. And I'm not sure if you could have those in time for Ohio State, but you should be able to get them in time for Purdue. And the sales from those, I'm donating any profits to the Boys and Girls Club of Bloomington. So not trying to make money on people there at all, but man, that's a great design. For those of you that can't see it, it's got the red deal at the top that reminds you of a certain cigarette pack I don't want to mention, but inside of that it says welcome to the, and then the underneath the Sig 10, which is a C with candy stripes, a 1 with the silhouette of Kurt Cignetti standing with his hands on his hips, and then the G, of course. Very, very cool, very good looking. But just go to isbmedia.itemorder.com and you can get whatever you need. Great Christmas gifts, right? For those that are looking for Christmas gifts. That's something great to get, and it'll be winter soon, although it doesn't seem like that right now. This weather's been phenomenal, and how lucky have Indiana football fans been? First of all, you get at least 8 home games and potentially another one if Indiana can get into the college football playoffs. But, man, a great day. I cannot thank each and every one of you guys enough as always. Without you, we have no reason for being here, and eternally grateful. We're back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.